Last month, my neighbor traded a dead car battery for 2 weeks' worth of food. Sounds crazy? It's not. While everyone's buying expensive survival gear, they're throwing away items that could save their lives when everything collapses. What if I told you that the junk you're tossing in the trash right now could be more valuable than gold when everything falls apart? I'm not talking about fancy gadgets or high-tech survival gear. I'm talking about 9 dirt-cheap everyday items, some of which are probably sitting in your garbage can as we speak, that could literally save your life in a total collapse. Here's the deal. While everyone else is out panic-buying generators, freeze-dried food, and overpriced survival kits, they're completely ignoring the simple, overlooked items that will become absolute essentials when the shelves are empty, the power's out, and the world as we know it grinds to a halt. We're living in a time of record-breaking inflation, crumbling supply chains, and a growing wave of over 20 million Americans prepping for 2025. This isn't some far-off dystopian fantasy. It's happening now. And if you're not paying attention, you're going to miss the chance to stock up on the things that could mean the difference between survival and disaster. In this video, I'm breaking down 9 household items that are dirt cheap today, but will be worth their weight in gold when SHTF. And trust me, you don't want to miss item number 9. It's something people throw away every single day, but in a collapse, it could power your tools or even become your most valuable barter item. Let's get into it. 1. Empty glass jars, the survival tool you're throwing away. Let me hit you with a hard truth. Those empty glass jars you're tossing in the trash every week, they could be the difference between survival and disaster when everything falls apart. Sounds crazy, right? But think about it. Glass jars from pasta sauce, pickles, or jam are more than just trash. They're durable, reusable, and airtight containers that can store water, food, seeds, spices, and more. In a collapse, when clean storage becomes a luxury, these jars will be worth more than your smartphone. Here's the reality. Clean water is your #1 priority in any disaster. FEMA has been saying it for years. But here's the kicker. Most households in the U.S. don't even have enough containers to store 3 days' worth of drinking water. That's terrifying. And while plastic bottles degrade over time and can leach harmful chemicals, glass jars stay safe, clean, and reusable for years. They're the ultimate low-tech solution to a high-stakes problem. Still not convinced? Let's look at history. During Venezuela's economic collapse, people were trading empty glass bottles for food and medicine. That's right. Glass became currency. Why? Because when the system breaks down, clean, durable containers are as good as gold. You can't store water in a smartphone, and you can't trade a tablet for food. But a glass jar? That's a survival tool. And it's not just about water. That old pickle jar in your kitchen? It's a future seed vault. The salsa jar you were about to toss? Perfect for storing homemade vinegar or purified water. Glass jars are versatile, durable, and completely free if you start saving them now. So before you throw another one in the trash, stop. That jar could be your lifeline when the shelves are empty and the world is in chaos. Trust me, you'll thank yourself later. 2. Cotton t-shirts, your life-saving fabric in disguise. You know that old cotton t-shirt you've been meaning to throw out? The one with the faded logo and a couple of holes? Don't. That piece of fabric could save your life when disaster strikes. Sounds dramatic? It's not. Cotton t-shirts are one of the most underrated survival tools you already own, and you're probably not even thinking about it. Here's the deal. FEMA officially recommends using a cotton t-shirt as a makeshift dust mask in emergencies when medical-grade filters aren't available. That means your $1 thrift store tea could be more valuable than a $50 respirator when the air turns toxic or a dust storm rolls in. And it doesn't stop there. Cotton fabric is incredibly versatile. It can be used as a bandage, a water filter, insulation, or even rope. In a world where supply chains are broken and medical supplies are scarce, that old t-shirt becomes a multi-purpose survival essential. Let's talk numbers. A 2025 prepping survey revealed that over 60% of households reported shortages of basic first aid supplies. Meanwhile, clean cotton cloth was still widely available, hidden in closets and drawers waiting to be repurposed. Reddit preppers swear by it, using old shirts as rags, bandages, and even makeshift tourniquets. In a collapsed scenario where hospitals are overwhelmed and sterile supplies are gone, that t-shirt could be your only barrier against infection or airborne threats. And here's the kicker. Cotton doesn't just stop at first aid. Torn into strips, it can be used as a compress, a filter for water or air, or even as a tie-down rope. It's lightweight, easy to store, and cost you nothing if you start saving your old shirts now. So before you toss that faded tee in the trash, think again. In a post-collapse world, cotton t-shirts aren't just fabric. They're survival tools, and when nothing else works, you'll be glad you kept them. 3. Baking soda, the collapse multi-tool you're overlooking. Baking soda. It's that cheap white powder sitting in the back of your pantry, probably forgotten until it's time to bake cookies or freshen up your fridge. But let me tell you something. In a collapse, baking soda isn't just a kitchen staple, it's a survival powerhouse. And the best part? A single box costs less than $1. That's pocket change for something that could save your life. Let's break it down. Baking soda, or sodium bicarbonate, is one of the most versatile substances you can have in your home. First off, it's a natural deodorizer, which means it keeps smells and bacteria at bay. But it's not just about keeping things fresh. Baking soda is also a non-toxic cleaner. When chemical cleaners are no longer an option, you can use it to scrub surfaces, clean dishes, and even wash your body. It's safe, effective, and dirt cheap. But here's where it gets serious. According to the CDC, baking soda can neutralize acidic chemical burns. That's right. If someone is exposed to acid, whether it's from a battery leak or a chemical spill, baking soda can be used as first aid. And it doesn't stop there. In a fire, baking soda can help smother small flames. When heated, it releases carbon dioxide, which helps extinguish minor kitchen fires. That's not just a survival hack, it's a life-saving tool. Still think baking soda is just for baking? In a world where hygiene, cleaning supplies, and first aid are scarce, this basic powder becomes a triple threat, survival essential. It's a cleaner, a deodorizer, and a first aid tool all in one. And the best part? It's dirt cheap and widely available right now. So stock up while you can, because when the collapse hits, baking soda won't just be a pantry item. It'll be a lifesaver. 4. Safety pins and paper clips, the tiny tools that could save your life. You probably think safety pins and paper clips are just boring office supplies, right? Wrong. In a collapse, these tiny, overlooked items could become your go-to survival tools. Let me break it down for you. These aren't just for holding papers together or fixing a loose hem. They're versatile, durable, and dirt cheap, making them a must-have in any survival kit. Let's start with safety pins. These little metal heroes can do way more than you think. Torn clothing? No problem. A ripped tent or tarp? Safety pins can patch it up in seconds. They can even double as emergency fish hooks if you're desperate for food. Survivalists on forums like Reddit and Quora swear by them, saying they never leave home without a handful. Why? Because when your gear breaks and there's no store to replace it, safety pins are the quick fix you'll wish you had. Now, let's talk about paper clips. You'd be amazed at how many survival hacks involve these unassuming little pieces of metal. Need to pick a lock? Paper clip. Need to repair broken gear? Paper clip. Need a makeshift antenna for your emergency radio? You guessed it, paper clip. They're even used in trap triggers for hunting small game. Preppers on Reddit survival forums share dozens of creative ways to use paper clips when everything else fails. These aren't just office supplies, they're survival tools in disguise. Here's the kicker. According to a recent survey by Ready.gov, 61% of households don't have proper repair kits or sewing supplies. That means most people will be scrambling to fix torn gear or damaged equipment when things go south. But a simple $1 box of safety pins and paper clips, that's your survival multi-tool right there. Think about it. Would you rather barter away your flashlight batteries or quietly fix your shelter in the dark with a safety pin? The choice is obvious. So, next time you're in the office supply aisle, grab a box of each. They're cheap, lightweight, and take up almost no space in your kit. When the grid goes down and chaos takes over, these tiny tools could be the difference between staying prepared and falling apart. Trust me, you'll thank yourself later. Say, bar soap, the hygiene hero you're overlooking. Bar soap. It's so basic, so boring that most people don't even think twice about it. But let me tell you something. When the world falls apart, that little bar of soap could be worth more than a can of beans. Sounds dramatic? It's not. Hygiene becomes a survival priority when systems break down, and bar soap is your first line of defense. Here's the harsh reality. According to the CDC, over 3 million people die every year from preventable hygiene-related diseases. Now imagine a world where clean water is scarce, plumbing doesn't work, and hospitals are either overwhelmed or non-existent. Staying clean isn't just about comfort. It's about survival. A single cut or scrape can turn deadly if it gets infected, and soap is your best weapon against that. Bar soap has a long shelf life, especially when stored properly. It's lightweight, portable, and doesn't require batteries, electricity, or any fancy dispensers. That's why serious preppers are stockpiling it. In countries like Venezuela, where economic collapse turned daily life into a struggle, a single bar of soap was being traded for food or medicine on the black market. Think about that for a second. Soap became currency. That's how valuable it is when everything else falls apart. But it's not just about washing your hands. Soap can clean wounds, sanitize surfaces, and even wash clothes. It's a multi-purpose tool that can replace multiple products, making it a must-have in any bug-out bag or home stockpile. One Reddit prepper even called it the most overlooked barter item in prepping. And they're not wrong. When access to clean water and medical care is cut off, something as simple as washing a cut with soap could prevent a deadly infection. Here's a pro tip. Stick with plain, unscented bars. No frills, no fancy packaging, just function. These are the bars that will last the longest and be the most versatile. So before you dismiss that cheap bar of soap sitting in your bathroom, think again. In the next crisis, it could be your best line of defense against disease and a powerful trade item. Stock up now, because when the shelves are empty, soap will be worth its weight in gold. 6. Cotton rope and twine. The forgotten lifeline. Let's talk about something that's probably sitting in your garage or junk drawer right now. Cotton rope or twine. Sounds boring, right? But when a real crisis hits, this simple, overlooked item becomes survival gold. Here's why. Cotton rope is one of the most versatile tools you can have in a collapse scenario. It's cheap, lightweight, and incredibly useful in ways you've probably never even considered. First off, cotton rope is essential for building shelters. Whether you're tying down a tarp, securing a tent, or creating a makeshift lean-to, rope is a must-have. But it doesn't stop there. You can use it to create animal traps, hang food out of reach of rodents, dry clothes, or even make emergency stretchers. In survival training, rope is considered one of the core 5 tools for wilderness preparedness. And the best part? You can get a whole bundle of it for under $1 at most hardware or dollar stores. Now, here's something shocking. According to a 2025 FEMA preparedness study, over 60% of American households don't have any basic tools for shelter building or gear fastening. That means no rope, no cordage, nothing. In other words, most people are one broken tent pole away from real trouble. And while paracord gets all the hype in survivalist circles, don't underestimate cotton twine. It's soft, biodegradable, and easy to handle. Unlike synthetic ropes, cotton rope can even be used to start a fire if you fray it. Yes, your garden twine could literally help you build a fire when you're freezing and desperate. Some preppers on Reddit survival forums have even started stockpiling cotton twine in vacuum-sealed bags to keep it dry and compact. Others weave it into belts and bracelets as wearable survival tools. Genius, right? Here's the kicker. Once disaster strikes, it won't be the fancy tools people fight over. It'll be the basic, functional things like this. Cotton rope will be bartered, hoarded, and maybe even stolen. So ask yourself this. If the grid went down tonight, would you have enough rope to hang a tarp or secure your door? If not, you might want to fix that today. Because in a world where survival depends on improvisation, something as cheap and forgotten as a $1 spool of twine could be what holds your world together. Don't wait until it's too late. Stock up now. 7. Binder clips and rubber bands, the tiny titans of survival. You might think binder clips and rubber bands are just boring office supplies, but let me tell you, they're absolute game changers in a collapse. These tiny, cheap items are the unsung heroes of survival. And if you're not stockpiling them now, you're making a big mistake. Let's break it down. First, binder clips. Those little black clamps you toss into your desk drawer. They're not just for holding papers together. In a survival scenario, they become micro clamps with endless uses. Need to seal a bag of food or seeds? Binder clip. Got a torn tarp or broken gear? Binder clip. They're strong, reusable, and versatile. You can even use them to rig makeshift filters by holding layers of cloth together to purify water. Preppers on Reddit rave about how binder clips have saved their gear in the field. From patching up tents to bundling supplies, they're lightweight, durable, and cost next to nothing. A single box can give you dozens of these little lifesavers. Now, let's talk about rubber bands. These stretchy little loops are way more than just a way to keep your mail organized. In a collapse, their flexibility becomes a survival tool. Need to organize gear? Rubber band. Need a makeshift fishing lure? Rubber band. Need a temporary tourniquet when medical supplies are gone? Yep, rubber band. And here's a survival hack you probably didn't know. Rubber bands can be used as tinder. Burn one, and it'll ignite a small flame that can last up to 2 minutes. Enough to start a fire, even in damp conditions. That's not just useful. That's life-saving. Here's the bigger picture. These items are tiny, cheap, and insanely versatile. A single box of binder clips can seal dozens of seed packets or hold together critical repairs. A handful of rubber bands can switch roles between organizing, fire starting, or even medical use. And they take up almost no space in your kit. Imagine this. The power's out, Stores are closed, and you're trying to preserve wild edibles you foraged. Binder clips seal your makeshift containers, and rubber bands help you label and organize them. You even burn a rubber band to get your fire started when your tinder is soaked. These aren't just office supplies. They're survival tools. So the next time you're at the store, grab a box of binder clips and a bag of rubber bands. They're cheap now, but in a collapse, they'll be priceless. Trust me, you'll be glad you did. 8. White vinegar. The survival liquid you're ignoring. White vinegar. It's that cheap, boring liquid sitting in your pantry, right? Wrong. In a collapse, white vinegar is one of the most powerful survival tools you can have. It's versatile, long-lasting, and dirt cheap. If you're not stocking up on it now, you're missing out big time. Let's start with the basics. White vinegar is essentially water and acetic acid with a pH of around 2 to 3. That acidity makes it naturally self-preserving. According to the Vinegar Institute, white distilled vinegar can last indefinitely if stored properly. That's right, no expiration date, no refrigeration needed. You can buy a few bottles today, stash them in a cool, dark place, and they'll still be good years from now. In a world where most supplies have a shelf life, vinegar is a rare exception. Now, why is this a big deal for survival? First, it's an incredible cleaning agent. When bleach and disinfectants are gone, vinegar steps in. It can dissolve grime, clean rust, sanitize surfaces, and even polish metal. One bottle can replace a dozen cleaning products. Second, it's a food preserver. Vinegar is the key ingredient in pickling, which means you can extend the shelf life of vegetables like cucumbers, onions, and cabbage. In a world without refrigeration, that's a game changer. Third, it's a natural pest repellent. Spray it around cracks and counters to keep ants, fruit flies, and even mold at bay. When chemical pesticides are no longer an option, vinegar becomes your go-to solution. But that's not all. In survival circles, vinegar is considered as valuable as canned food. It's a barter item, a cleaning tool, a food preserver, and even a mild disinfectant for wounds. Imagine this. The grocery store shelves are empty, and you're trying to trade with a neighbor. They've got clean water, and you've got bottles of vinegar. That's survival currency right there. Here's a pro tip. Stick with plain white vinegar. It's cheap, effective, and doesn't degrade over time like other types of vinegar. Store it tightly, sealed away from light and heat, and it'll last indefinitely. So, the next time you're at the store, grab a few extra bottles. In a collapse, white vinegar won't just be a pantry staple. It'll be a survival essential. 9. Dead lead acid batteries, the hidden treasure in your garage. Let's talk about something you're probably throwing away without a second thought. Dead lead acid batteries. You know, the ones from your car or old solar backup system. They might seem like useless hunks of metal, but in a collapse, they're survival gold. Here's why. First, let's talk about the lead. Lead acid batteries are packed with recyclable lead, a material that becomes incredibly valuable when supply chains break down. In the U.S., 99% of lead acid batteries are recycled, and over 80% of new batteries are made from recycled lead. But what happens when the recycling system collapses? That old dead battery you were about to toss suddenly becomes a treasure trove of usable material. Preppers online have even shared stories of extracting lead plates from old batteries to craft tools, weights, or even simple electronics. It's not easy, and it's definitely not safe without proper precautions, but in a desperate situation, it's an option. Now, let's talk about the sulfuric acid inside. Normally, This stuff is dangerous and corrosive, but it can be neutralized with baking soda or ash. Once neutralized, it can be used to purify metals or even preserve food. That's right. The same acid that powers your car battery can have survival uses if handled correctly. And let's not forget the plastic casing, which can be repurposed for storage or insulation. Here's the kicker. The global market for lead-acid battery recycling is booming. In 2024, it was valued at $12 billion and is projected to grow to over $28 billion by 2034. That shows just how valuable these batteries are, even in normal times. In a collapse, when new batteries are no longer being produced, the demand for old ones will skyrocket. Your dead battery could become a critical bartering item or even a DIY power source. But let me be clear. Handling lead and sulfuric acid is dangerous. If you're going to keep old batteries, store them safely and only attempt to repurpose them if you know what you're doing. The risks are real, but so are the rewards. In a world where resources are scarce, that dead battery in your garage could be the key to survival. So, don't throw it away. Store it. Learn how to handle it safely and be ready to use it when the time comes. In a collapse, dead lead-acid batteries won't just be junk. They'll be treasure. When the world as we know it crumbles, survival won't come down to the fanciest gadgets or the most expensive gear. It'll come down to the simple, overlooked items you already have or could easily stock up on right now. From glass jars and cotton t-shirts to duct tape and vinegar, these everyday essentials are the unsung heroes of survival. They're cheap, versatile, and often sitting right under your nose, waiting to prove their worth when everything else fails. The truth is, most people won't think twice about these items until it's too late. They'll be scrambling for clean water, makeshift repairs, or basic hygiene while you're already prepared with tools that cost pennies today, but will be priceless tomorrow. These aren't just household items. They're survival tools, barter currency, and lifelines in a world where resources are scarce and adaptability is key. So take a hard look at your junk drawer, your pantry, and your garage. Start saving those jars, stocking up on duct tape, and grabbing an extra box of binder clips or Ziploc bags the next time you're at the store. Because when the shelves are empty and the grid is down, these 9 cheap items will be worth more than gold. The question is, will you have them when you need them?